things from inside the circle. We invite you to join us in finding your tribe, finding your purpose, and finding your circle.
Hello. Today we are diving back into the circle. My name is Ryan Green.
And I am Sharon Mackey, the co-host here. I am with the Circle of Women, and I'm excited to be here to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. Young people, or anyone really, out looking for jobs, right? So thank you, Ryan, for having me today. And I'm excited to hear what our guest has to say about this topic.
Of course, as you guys know, I am a current college senior, so I have a slight fear of the job market myself. And I've noticed from a few people that I've heard and talked to that they say it's a little tougher to like land a job once you get out of school.
Yes, I would tend to agree with that. We don't really prepare enough, and I'm hoping our guests will talk about that. But we don't really prepare enough when we're in school. We're so busy doing the work, and there's nothing that's even close to doing the work versus actually finding a job. It's good to do the work and to understand all the dynamics that happen within the school realm, but then how do you take that information and move it over into job security? So I'm excited to hear about what our guest has to say about that.
And so today, to hear more about the difficulties of the job market and overcoming the first time stress that follows, our lovely guest has an extensive background in education, currently going to school for her doctorate degree. She has made plenty of pivots during her time and knows what it means to hustle and grind to get where you need to be. We welcome into the circle Keara Williams. Hello, Keara.
Hey,
Hi,
Keara,
Ryan.
so happy to see you and to have you as our guest today. I know you've got some great nuggets you're going to share.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I am so honored that you all selected me to join you today.
Yes, yes. It's good to see you. I know Ryan's got a list of questions, and I'm going to chime in as we go, but Ryan's taking the lead on this. So, Ryan, what do
Okay.
you have for her today?
Okay, so today, my first question that I'm going to start off with is what can one expect to encounter when dealing with searching for a job for the first time?
A bunch of no's. I I remember when I was just actually talking about this week when I graduated UCLA, number one public institution. You would think it's so easy to get a job when you graduate. Actually, I couldn't get one. And what I found is this was a common experience amongst my friends who had also recently graduated. And a big part of why we were not landing jobs is because we did not have the experience. And so I do think you're going to hear a lot of no's, especially if you did not prepare yourself for that field that you're applying for, meaning internships, specific classes with field work. Maybe you have developed a relationship with a professor that can also like open doors for you, provide opportunities. If you don't do those things, you may be in the same position as I was and my friends, right? We have this prestigious degree and we can't land a job. And so I think when I was looking, it was a lot of no's. It was a lot of interviews. You get sharper along the way, though. You get better. You get better with your answers. You know what to expect. Your speech gets better. The way you speak about whatever you are interviewing for gets really strong. So I do think while you will hear a lot of no's, possibly, you can also expect to get stronger interview skills.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I used to tell my kids when they enter, my daughter is at UCLA as well, and my other daughter graduated from Howard University. And one thing that I would always tell them is get involved. And I need your opinion on this, Keara, because it seems to me like getting involved in clubs and groups, and maybe there's let's say my daughter's going for optometry, for example. There's got to be some outside extracurricular things that you can get involved in, hanging around the optometry area or getting involved in a group. Is that something that's even possible on campus these days? Because it seems like, if
Mhm.
they did that, they would be more prepared and understand. That's my first question. And the second question is, are the schools really preparing the students for the job market?
No. So your first question, let me go back to that. I do think that you can volunteer. I do think you can ask for internships. You can ask, how can I support you in whatever work you're doing with professors and people in the field that you want to work in? However, sometimes it just literally boils down to the experience. And also, do you have a degree in that specific field?
Mhm.
So, for example, optometry, you have to go back to school to get a degree to even do that. So, even if you have a number of years of experience, that still doesn't prepare you for that job because you need to go back to school and get a graduate degree in order to pursue that field. So, that's another thing. A lot of these positions require a master's degree or higher, right? And so having an undergraduate degree sometimes does not prepare you for the job. That's not enough. That's the first step. So now you got to go to the second, which
Yeah.
unfortunately is graduate school. And so that's what I learned about a lot of things that I was looking at. And I will say that schools aren't necessarily preparing you for the job market. I think they're preparing you to decide, what do you want to do? Graduate school is a professional degree. So master's program is for a professional degree, which means it prepares you for the job market. The idea of a master's program is you get your degree and immediately land a job. For undergraduate, I think the goal is to figure out who you are, what you like to do, explore different options, right? Reject certain options, try different opportunities, and you figure out your thing. You figure out your niche. What is it that you enjoy? After you do that, for some people, you can land a job. For a lot of us, it requires a professional degree to continue into that field.
So I speak only from my little bit of experience with my kids, right? So my kids went to college, and so my older daughter, she got a degree in a field, and I told her this. I didn't really understand it all because it's not something that I did, but I shared with her on this journey that if you're going to get a degree in a field that is going to be employable, because a lot of just basic generic, you can get lucky. Don't get me wrong. I think you can get lucky, but I know a lot of college graduates that are working at Target, and I'm not saying that that's not a good job to have, but if you go to school for 4 years and then 3 more years or for a master's, you really want to land something that's going to be in the six-figure range or somewhere close to that, because it costs quite a bit of money to get a degree. And what she found
Yeah.
out, Howard didn't really prepare her on her exit because nobody knew COVID was going to happen. So when
Yeah.
COVID happened, they couldn't do internships, right?
Yeah.
It was no going into the hospitals, no showing up, outside of the scope of where you were or on a Zoom. And so, because of that, as you know, you need a certain amount of hours to get that internship fulfilled so you can move to the next leg. And because
Yeah.
she didn't have the hours, she couldn't get her license in the state of California. So, there's like all these little nuances that, some of the students just don't know about. And I certainly didn't. I had to move her to Houston to get the
Yeah.
experience that she needed after COVID, because we couldn't do it in California. California, like you said just a few moments ago, in California, you can't even step foot in that field until you are certified and licensed for clinical
Yeah.
science, right? So we had to send her all the way to Houston. How can you avoid those pitfalls?
I think definitely talking to people. For example, I know that we took a group of freshmen. I'm a TA at UCLA. I'm a teaching assistant.
Yay.
Um, and thank you. I teach a class for freshmen, and we took them to the Career Center 2 weeks ago. And the purpose of that was for them to get exposure to the Career Center, but also to begin to look at what their major can get them, what jobs can it land you, right? So I don't think it's ever too early to research your career options, given your interests, given your major, even your minor, right? That's not majority of your degree, but even a minor could be something you're interested in. So what career paths can you explore given those interests? So I think that's one way to prepare. Talk to people in the field already. What was your process? What was your journey? I do also rely on the strength of relationships. I would not be able to get this far without my relationships, without building horizontally with people, without asking, do you have any something I can work on. How can I support you? I'm interested in this, right? A closed mouth don't get fed. There's a reason why we say that, right? The more you express interest, people think about you. I now have people thinking about me in rooms I'm not even in. So I'll get an email saying, "Hey, I think you'll be perfect for this opportunity. Oh, you were a teacher? Here's this other funding. Oh, this is what you do. Here's a fellowship," right? So money is coming to me, opportunity is coming to me, the opportunities to write. And I think it's because I build relationships with people. So I think while you can do all the preparation in Career Center and volunteer work and all of that, also please work on your relationships with the people because they are the people in terms of your professors, employers, people in the field that you're interested in, because those are the people that are going to lift you up.
I agree with that. I think opening your mouth and talking is one of the best qualities that you can have to go through doors and sit at tables and be in rooms that you never thought you could be in. It's communication. And so many, I mean, when you're younger, you're not really in the mindset to communicate. You may be shy. What can one do to help sharpen their skills in communication?
Great question. I feel like that's a strength I've always had, but I do think you can practice in a mirror, record
Uh,
yourself, listen back. How many times you say That's something that I struggle with too, by the way. So when I hear I catch myself, and sometimes I record myself. So I'm like, oh no, I do not like the way I sound right there. And so I think that can help. I mean, ideally, like you want confidence. So whatever practices or whatever little quick things that you can do to help develop that practice and that confidence in speaking, I think it's always great. I think talking in the mirror is a great thing. I also like to practice in front of friends, right? Can you stand here while I pretend like you're interviewing me, or if I'm giving this speech? And I think that kind of gets those nerves out and also that develops that confidence in yourself to deliver whatever it is you have to deliver. So I think when you're ready to talk to people, if you've practiced in a mirror, if you talk to a friend, you kind of already know what you're going to say. It might come out differently, right? You might be nervous, but you have already practiced what you're going to say. So I think the more you can expose yourself to your own thoughts and questions, the better it will be when it's in front of someone.
that's so good. And I'm listening to you. I'm looking at you. You're clear. You're concise. You're smiling. I would hire you in a heartbeat.
Thank you. And to that point, I do think that's why I get jobs. I do. I think people are like, um her energy, it feels flexible, it feels easy, it feels light, and I think and serious, right? But also like she's knowledgeable, she's intelligent, and I am aware of how I come across folks. So I think even that's a level of confidence that people have to develop, right? How do you know you show up in front of people? How
Yeah.
do you think people are perceiving you? And I think that's a huge part of, yeah, the game that you have to play.
And some of it comes with time. Some of us are just kind of born with it. I think I've
Mhm.
always been a communicator. I've always been the one that they call on. And I used to be so afraid, but now and over time, I've learned to really effectively communicate and kind of shy away from ducking and dodging from the microphone. And so I think that even things like this, what Ryan is doing, Ryan, are you there?
I'm here.
Doing this is really good to help you, right? I'm sure you
Yeah.
feel some growth in just doing this sort of thing. And this is good for you because when you get ready to go before those employers, you're going to remember these conversations. You're going to remember and you're going to test, like Keara said, you're going to test yourself in the mirror. You're going to talk to yourself. And it's going to come in very, very handy, right?
Yeah, of course. I've actually what Kiera said, I was just about to say this after. Everything that she said, my teachers have like drilled into me since my freshman year. And when I took public speaking, he had us record videos of ourselves doing our presentation. And he docked us for every time that we said he docked us for every time that we said he docked us for every time that we took pause that was more than like 5 seconds. Um
Uh,
and yeah, my professor last semester that taught me all I know about podcasts, she had a list of words for broadcasters that we are not allowed to say. And so that I just said something. So that's one of the words we're not allowed to say. When we're writing a script, that's something that she has us take out. And if you're saying it in front of her, she's like, take it out, stop it. stop yourself before you say it, think before you speak. And
Yeah.
so it's definitely enhanced the way I speak. It's grown the way I communicate greatly. So I agree with that 100%.
And you sound good. Good stuff.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Thank you guys. Kind of my next question that I want to ask that piggybacks off of my first question is if there's a string of constant rejection letters, how can one stay positive and sure in their career?
Oh, that's tough. This past year I received a couple of rejection letters. It was really hard. I remember talking to a friend about it. I relied on my community. It was hard. I did not have the strength at that time. My confidence was shot. So even the most confident people can have like moments where it's tough. I knew my writing was good. I compared it to other people's. Also, the people that got it, it was whack. And I knew that because I read some of it. I'm like, how did they get it? It's not even a good study. How did they get funded? But I found my way. So a couple of no's turned into a yes. I ended up getting a yes for fellowship this past summer. I also got a job offer this past summer. So I think no's and rejection is just not your opportunity, right? And so like in that moment, it will hurt, it will sting. Rely on your community. Remember who you are. Maybe write some affirmations to yourself when you are on your high, you're feeling good and you got your yeses, because when those no's come, you want to remember how you were feeling. And I think that your yeses will come, right? So even with my rejections, I got a few more after that turns into yeses, and I got money and I got opportunity and jobs. And so I think it's just part of the process. It stings, but you can't get like, what would life be if you got everything? We can't get everything. It's just impossible. And so understanding that that's just, it's ebbs and flows, is part of the life, it's part of the process of your career path, right? And you will land where you're supposed to be. I mean, I'm a spiritual person. I believe that I will be placed in rooms that are healthy for me and where I'm able to be supported. And so those no's may have been the room that wasn't going to support me.
And I do believe that. I agree with you, Keara. I think that the universe unfolds the way it should.
Hmm.
Oftentimes we want something that just may not even be good for us. It could
Yeah.
cause your demise. You don't know. And if you didn't get it, it's probably because maybe you weren't supposed to be in that room. And
Yeah.
I know rejection, that word, I hate the R word. Oh my goodness. It's not easy. Rejection is not easy. And when you hear it or feel it, it makes you want to give up. But I think the best thing to do is just to remind yourself that it's not denied, it's just delayed. And it's
Yeah.
going to come. It's not going to look the way you wanted it to look.
Hmm.
And sometimes if you didn't get what you wanted, it may have saved your life. You don't know. It may have saved you stress. You don't know. So you can't get caught up in the rejection and feel like it's over because you didn't get what you thought you deserved or wanted. And I think that staying positive in the midst of the storm is the most valuable tool that you could have. Positivity, even when it hurts, even when you feel like you've just been let down, trying to stay positive and moving in those lanes is really valuable to you and to your success, because it's not just, and sometimes I'm spiritual too, it's how you handle,
Yeah.
because how you handle that may have everything to do with your next level.
Yep.
As you begin to move through life and positions and you're posturing yourself, you're going to look back on those times and say, you know what? I am so glad that I didn't get that job.
Yeah.
I am so glad that that didn't happen. You may see something on TV about the company. A friend of yours may have got it. And you thought, they get everything. Oh my gosh. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it all falls apart. Not to wish that on anybody, but it falls apart. And you could have been a part of that. I'll never forget a job that I had many years ago. I won't mention the name of the company, but they got in so much trouble. I didn't want to leave. They laid me off. And I'm like, I didn't know what a layoff was, right?
Yeah.
They laid me off and I was so devastated. But then later, all those people were indicted. And it's so funny for selling junk bonds and things of that nature. But it's funny because you don't know what you're being protected against with that no.
Absolutely.
Especially when you have a good heart, especially when you know you're doing the right things, you know? And so I think that sometimes we have to look at it as an opportunity to grow in that space, to become a little stronger. Let's talk about Kamala Harris losing the presidency, to have to stand before the crowd. She didn't get what she wanted,
Yeah.
but we know the fight is not over. We know that there's more to come, and she's still a young woman. So the fact that she didn't get the president, even though that's the most important job in the universe, everybody thinks there's something else. God's not through with her yet. And there's something else that maybe she needed to glean. Maybe there was something else that she needed to get, and she is going to get it. And nobody can stop it. Because when you smile through it, you're graceful, you accept the loss or what appears to be a loss. You
Yeah.
do that, and who knows what's going to happen for her. And we have to look at our lives the same way. What do you say, Ryan?
Um, I agree with that actually. And I liked what you guys were talking about earlier with the spirituality and you're in the rooms that you're supposed to be in. Like over the summer when me and Miss Sharon planned this whole thing, I was going through something kind of terrible. My mom was like, "Come on, let's go. We're going to Miss Sharon's." I was like, "Okay, I guess." So I got dressed. We went over and then I was sitting in your living room and we just started talking about it. And you were like, let's do a podcast. I was like, okay, I can do that.
Wow.
I can take everything that I'm going through right now and I can put it, these are the episodes that I want to do. This is everything that I want to do. I was in the right space at the right time.
Yeah.
So I believe that everything that you're going through is for a reason. And as you guys said, if you're rejected from a job, it's for a reason. If you get the job offer, it's for a reason. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And never
Yeah.
get so full of yourself that you think that you're controlling everything that happens
Yeah.
to you.
Mhm.
All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord according to his plan and purpose for our lives. And while he gives us some choices and decisions that we can make, he ultimately leads and guides and orders our steps. And so we have to leave room for that. Because if we're trying to control everything in our own right, we could really mess some things up. That's why we have to lean not to our own understanding. We have to allow space for the unknown to show up and show out and create miracles in our lives, right?
Yeah. And also how one opportunity could be preparing you for the other, like
For
you said.
the next
So,
level.
yep.
Absolutely. And Ryan is right. I mean, we were sitting in my living room, and it's so funny because it has been a struggle even doing, and Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have had so many little setbacks doing the podcast. And that's why I know we're supposed to do it. Bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's why I know we're supposed to do it. Because sometimes when the adversarial things start to happen and you're trying to push through and you're trying to birth everything in you, it's like going into labor. You're pushing and you're pushing and the baby comes. Well, it's the same thing in our lives. If we give up, we can't ever see the manifestation of our hard work and everything that we were supposed to learn in this moment and everything that we were supposed to get out of what we went through to get us to the next level.
Hmm. And speaking on that, I did want to ask, I know we've kind of like answered it just a little bit earlier, but I wanted to know how would you avoid burnout when participating in like job interviews and things of that nature? Because I know, as we said earlier, getting rejections is hard. And when you get
Yeah.
multiple in a row, it's hard to not give up. So how would you avoid that?
Well, I'd already spoke about relying on your community, but also I would like make sure I'm not stacking them on top of each other on my interviews, like
Mm-hmm.
back to back to back. I think taking time in between interviews is important, reflection, maybe even asking like, hi, I do this all the time. If I get a no, thank you so much for informing me. I had a great experience with you. Can you please let me know what I can do to strengthen my application or strengthen, my interview? What was I missing? What can I work on? So I think getting that feedback in between interviews can help you stay motivated for the next one and the next one versus just stacking them on each other and then getting a bunch of no's and then it's never processing, never reflecting, never getting a chance to breathe after each no. I think you need to process, reflect, and breathe after each no. Because the way things, when we stack things, I think it becomes a lot heavier. So I would make sure that don't stack it. Don't stack interviews. Take time in between those. And I mean, I also think like going outside, taking a walk, some sunlight also helps release some of the tension, maybe stretching, working out, something to kind of release that because the burnout is really just a pile up of feelings and emotions that you never dealt with. And so you need to deal with those no's.
That's so good. We did a podcast on self-love, self-care, and you're kind of touching on that right now because we have to self-regulate and we have to
Yes.
understand where we are and balance. Balance
Mhm.
is so important. You said something about not stacking the interviews and going back and talking to the interviewer about where you might need to improve. Do you find that they are very responsive to that?
Yeah, they are. And actually, the last time that I did that, which was in June, it was after I didn't get this fellowship for the summer. It was like a job, a part-time job that came with funding. It's like we call it fellowships for grad students, but Uh, they said no, we regret to inform you, blah, blah, blah. Sent an email, asked, thank you so much. How could I have strengthened my application? Please let me know. They never responded. I think I followed up. They end up responding and saying, actually, we found a spot for you. So I got it, right? And so that no turned into a yes. And so, uh, yeah, I think sometimes you can actually get something else. Like maybe you're not fit for that position, but that follow up, the quality of your interview can make you a great fit for a different position. And so sometimes it's about just restructuring to make you fit into something. So I think on the other end, we don't know what folks are doing as well.
Yeah, I know that that's really good because if had you not reached back into the pot and said, hey, what could I do different? What was I lacking? Where did I fall short? I think that shows a sign of vulnerability and a teaching moment. It's a moment that they're looking at you and saying, Keara is good. We want somebody who doesn't think that they've arrived and they're better than, and
Right,
I
right.
dare you not hire me. That's a great tool. I'm putting that in my toolbox. That's
Okay,
that's
thank you.
really that's really good because you go back and say, hey, what could I have done better? How could I have better postured myself to get a position here? Because a lot of times I've always been an employer. I'm an employer. I'm the one who does the interviewing, the hiring. I've done it for many, many years. I do a there I go, Ryan. I do a lot of like referrals for people. You need a job. Oh, Miss Sharon, I need you to write a reference for me. What can you do? Can you help me? Absolutely. I'll help you do whatever you need to do to get to where you're going because somebody helped me. So I think that being in that interview, being in that space, and going back and being vulnerable and saying, how can I change? How could I do it better? Gives them an opportunity to say, I like this person. I want to bring her on board. Great.
Right.
That's a great way to address that rejection.
Yeah. Yep. You do something with it.
Do something, turn it around for your good. That's right.
Yes.
I'm actually going to make a mental note of that myself because I have to start applying to places. So it would be really nice to reach out and be like, hey, what did I do? What did I do good? What can I do better? Um, yeah, just to keep and that also builds a connection with the company, as you said, and
Right.
keeps you in their good graces.
Yep.
Yes, because sometimes they don't reach back out to you, and if you don't say anything, because they may feel like, well, we didn't, she didn't fit. there's something else in the corner over there that was just had your
Yeah.
name on it, and they probably don't know how to tell you that. And if you don't
Yeah.
inquire, you would never know. So that's really good. I like that. You brainiac.
And now I kind of want to ask, how can a person make their resume stand out, and what should they stay wary of while we're on the topic of asking about your interview process?
Yeah, I'll share my experience. I put everything on my resume. I probably put too much, but I need you to see how colorful I am. So I put all my volunteer work. I mean, and also it's also geared towards graduate school. So it's called a curriculum vitae, and so CV. But I do for my resume, I did the same thing. Like I think of wherever you work, right? Dates matter, but also a brief description of what you did. I think that's extremely important that the language you use is clear, concise, but also like impactful. And so like being aware of language choice, like diction matters, I think, when you're describing what you did at each job. But I also put like organizations I was a part of, leadership roles. I think that's important. Leadership roles, like let employers know your leadership skills. What roles did you take on? What did you do in that role? How long did you do it for? I think all of that contributes, right? That's not a paid position. That's what you did on your free time. And so I think knowing what you do outside of the money also helps you look like a stronger candidate because it's like, oh, she does this for free, right? And I'm not encouraging people to work for free. What I'm doing is there's sometimes things that you're interested in. So you might join an org, you might join a team, right? It's about being a team player. How have you showed that you're able to do that, whether you're the leader yourself or a team player? And I think that all adds to the resume.
Do you
Yeah, I
believe
think.
that?
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. You were going to continue. Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing about format. A format matters. It's something so simple. I think the more aesthetically pleasing your resume looks, folks remember you. I hate that the world works that way, but it does. And so uh, having a nicely formatted resume also matters.
Well, do you believe there should be a cover letter?
Yes, absolutely. I do. I'm sorry, I did not even think about that, but though what you'll find after getting a professional degree, almost every position asks for a cover letter
Mm-hmm.
after that. Because a lot of times they're paying for health benefits and their stakes are higher. And so they're like, why do you need to work here? How are you a great fit? And so I think even if they don't ask for that, I would give it with the resume, right? Like explain why this is a great position for you, why you will be a great fit, what you can offer, what experiences have you had that allows you to be prepared for this position? And then what are you hoping to learn, right? So that's the format of a cover letter, right? And so it's about a page. You shouldn't go over a page. Try not to. But I think anytime you can include that, you should, because not everyone's doing that.
Yes. I know for me, when I'm looking at resumes, and this is probably not good, but I like them quick and to the point and precise. And typically, I'll be honest with you, if I'm looking at a resume, I don't generally read it all. I want to talk to you. I want to
Mhm.
get to know you. I want to find out who you are, how you sound, how you look, how you dress, how you handle yourself, how, add a little pressure and see how you respond to that. It's so important to me to see that because some people are great writers, but they're not great orators. And
Yeah.
so you may be able to put together something real fancy, but you may not be able to deliver in the room. And so for
Yeah.
me, I'm more of the kind of boss that's going to say, let me see you come to my office. Let me see how you look. Let me see how you respond. I do enjoy reading a good resume, but like when you get to be my age, if I write everything down and all my experiences, I'm dating myself, number one.
Uh-huh.
What, in 1969, you did what? But, I'm dating myself. So as time has transitioned, the integrity and the body of my resume has changed. because, and then I try to pick all the good things about myself that I've done over the years and kind of like encompass it or include it in my resume, because it would be like 5 pages long. And at some point you stop reading. Nobody wants to read that. So I think when you're young, yes, because remember, when you're young, you don't have that much experience. When you're older, like me, then I have 40 years of work experience. And I've been a real estate broker, insurance broker. I've got all these things, but I try to tie them all in to service, to supervising, and that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? To keep it simplified. Because after a while, it gets really, really crazy.
Yeah. And I think on the flip side, for folks going into professional degrees and also like a graduate degree for like a doctorate, you do a CV and you would include all your experience. So some people's CVs are 20 pages, 30 pages. So that is the norm in the education world, right? Like in a PhD world, you do keep all of your experiences. But to your point, for employment, in a professional world, yeah, you would make it more concise for the job that you're applying for.
Sure.
But at graduate school, you want to keep all of that experience.
Well, I'll be doing that soon. I'm excited. Keeping
Yay!
track of everything, and I'm working on that. I'll be putting that together. Maybe I'll call you for some tips.
Yeah, call me. I
Yeah.
would be happy to help.
Yes, yes. I look forward to that. And don't tell me you don't remember when I call you.
I won't. I won't.
Appreciate you, Keara. Ryan, do you have some more questions for our guest today?
Yes, I was just about to say, I finally learned what CV meant today. This is also one of my new takeaways. I did not know that. Can you repeat that for me?
Curriculum B.
Curriculum vitae. Vitae, I believe is how you say it. It's VITAE.
Oh, Vitae.
Nice. I did not know that was, and I didn't even know it could be that long. I've always been taught resumes, 1 page, cover letter, 1 page. You include two, three, maybe even four, five, of your experiences and then your skills. Now I'm learning. This is great.
Yeah,
I think it depends on what stage you're in. I think it depends on where you are. If you're trying to get a job at Taco Bell, you're not going to,
right.
present like that. But if you're trying to get an upper position like Kiara's talking about, you definitely want to let them know who you are and why you're valuable to their institution.
Mhm.
Yes.
Love. This has been such a lovely learning experience. I've gained so much knowledge about networking and the importance of what you put on your resume and what to do after an interview and how to kind of pick yourself up after getting denied from jobs.
Mm,
Yes.
bah, yeah, that's not easy.
Wah,
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 wah, wah.
And
But
now,
there is life after denial. It's only
Yeah.
delayed to get something greater.
exactly.
Never give up. Never, ever give up. Nobody gets to tell you who you are. We
Right.
tell the world who we are, and we walk in it. And we walk boldly, proud to say, this is Ryan Green, right? So we cannot allow anyone to dictate what's inside of us. Have you ever, I'm going to ask you a question really quick. Have you ever, Ryan, sat in a room and you wanted to answer the question and you're like, yeah, I want to tell them I got the right answer, but everybody else shows up and answers the question before you. Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah. And since I'm a little shy bear, I just, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll answer the next one. But I
Mhm.
pride myself in being like, okay, I know the answer. And if I know the answer in my heart, that's fine.
That's fine with you. But what if answering that question would be the difference between you getting a job or not getting a job? You know? So maybe Kiara answers that question. Because that's a form of, dang it, I want to tell, but everybody always shows up before me. That kind of irritates me a little bit. It really does, especially when you're in a class and the same people keep answering the question and you can't seem to get it out. How do you handle that? Because the teacher never heard from you. He heard from that same person over and over again. And it's still another form of rejection, in my opinion.
Mm. I knowing my personality, I would talk to the professor or teacher on the side and say, I feel like I'm not seen in your class, which is a problem for me. I also believe that my race and gender sometimes adds to the experiences that I have. So I would probably bring up the fact that as a Black woman, I feel like maybe I'm not noticed intentionally. So I wonder where you stand in terms of intersectionality, race, gender. Intersectionality is a word coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, and it just means the multiple ways our identities work together and the multiple ways that we are oppressed. So you're not just oppressed because you're Black, but you can be oppressed because you're a Black woman, right?
Hmm.
So it's a precise or a more like a narrow way of looking at your experiences, more tailored. Um, so I would do that. I would also, again, know my personality say it in front of the class. Like, can we get some new voices? It's like, I appreciate y'all voices. However, I would love to hear from other people in the classroom. Like me, I have something to add, but you all keep cutting me off or you all keep getting chosen. I mean, but that's my personality. And
Speaking up
so,
for yourself.
yeah, definitely. I would say, or I would make it an outburst. Like, can we please get a new voice? I want to hear a new perspective. But that's just, I feel comfortable doing that. I do think if people are not outspoken like that, perhaps they can talk to the professor.
That's really good. That's good. Speaking up, taking your space, don't let someone else walk over you.
Exactly.
That's what I'm hearing. Yes, and
Yes.
intersectionality is real, and people use it all the time against you. They'll
Yeah.
they'll say, "Oh, well, we let the Black people come in, but yeah, but she was Black and she was gay. You don't like gay people." So there's
Yeah.
like all these different ways that they use that against us
Yeah.
in society. I like that. Thank you so much, Keara. You have so much knowledge. You are a wise beyond your years.
Thank you, Miss Sharon. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Alrighty. So today, prior to our episode, I asked Kiara to create a hashtag, a word or phrase that she kept in mind when she entered the job market. Kiara, would you mind sharing with us your hashtag life lesson?
Yes. It is hashtag ed for education, but ed gives options. And so I chose that because I do feel like education and my degrees have they have granted me the ability to have any job that I want in the field. Also, like I have so many opportunities because of my experience and my degree. And I think that's all I ever want for Black people is liberation and liberation in the form of having opportunities. You get to choose what you want to do. People don't choose for you. But nobody's going to tell me what I get to do. No one's going to tell me what I get to settle for because I have an education that granted me options. So I get to choose for myself. I don't have to do a job that I don't want to. I don't have to do this work that I don't have to because guess what I did? I set myself up for 4 years to be able to have options. And so ed for options or ed gives options, sorry, is my hashtag.
That's good. Now, before in closing, I want to ask you, Keara, what do you tell a young student who says school is not for everyone?
I would say you're right. It's not, but I don't think it's impossible for everyone. So even if it's not for you, you can still do it because you want options. Right? So I'm not saying that school, you're going to enjoy every part of it. Someone might be terrible at it, but you can find the supports to be able to make it through, right? So it's really about do you have the discipline? It's not about intelligence. And I think people conflate the two and think that school means you have to be, I'm a genius. No, school is about discipline. Do you go to office hours? Do you go to study hall? Did you read? Did you write notes about your reading? Did you ask questions? Did you ask a partner? Did you meet with a friend? Where's your study group? Those are the things that get you through. It's not the fact that you're smart.
So good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So,
Thank you for
you're
that.
welcome.
Just a pleasure to have you on today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you for everything that you've said today, Kiara. It's definitely given me a lot of information and it's helped me a lot. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome anytime.
All right, like what you heard in today's episode? Nice. Check back next week where we'll talk about the daunting topic of mental health. I'm Ryan Green.
And I'm Sharon Mackey from the Circle of Women. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.